Okay, so this is the second video that I'm making about the use of the dominant seventh arpeggios in a blues context. In the last video, we discussed a little bit why. So we're in the key of A, right? 1-4-5 regular blues progression, A7, D7, and E7, right? 1-4-5. And we said in the last video that over the A7 chord, we're going to play the A7 arpeggio. And any one of the notes in that arpeggio, if you play them while the A7 chord is playing, it'll sound terrific because the arpeggio is really nothing more than the notes of the chord played individually. So we'll play that. When the progression changes to the D7, and by the way, D7, D dominant 7, exactly the same thing. When the progression changes to the D7, we're going to change our arpeggio to the D7 arpeggio. So it's... And then the progression is going to go back to the A7 again. We'll play the A7 arpeggio. And when the 5 chord comes, right, we're going to play an E7 arpeggio. And then the next chord, of course, is going to be the 4. So we're going to play the D7 arpeggio there. And back to the A7 arpeggio. So I'm going to give you that's 3 shapes that we're going to use, and we're on the 5th fret here, which is a great place to be in the key of A. And right there in the same location, we've got the A minor pentatonic to always use, right? So for each of these arpeggios, there are 7 different patterns. Now, my goal here is to get you using these right away in context. So I'm not going to go through each of the 7 shapes. That's just too much information for anybody. I want to get you started. So those 3 shapes that I just showed, that's where we're going to start, because it's a great way to get started. So the A dominant 7th, A7th arpeggio, right? So on the 6th string, we have 5-9, then 7, 5-7, 6-9, 8-10, 9. Okay? That's the those are the numbers. For the D7 arpeggio, we have 5-8, 5-9, 7, 5-7, 7-10, 8. So and then the last one, the E7 arpeggio, we have, let's see, 7, 5-7, 6-9, 7-9, 9, 7-10. If I've got some of the numbers wrong, I apologize. So the way to practice these to get started is to get a nice slow backing track in the key of A, and make sure we're not doing A minor 7, A minor backing track, but in the key of A, 1-4-5, A7, D7, and E7. And I've got a backing track here. There's a ton of them on YouTube. I'm going to play a little bit of the way I think you should work on this, just to give you the idea. So while you're doing this, really listen for the chord changes and change your arpeggio after you learn those shapes. There's only 3 of them, to the correct arpeggio for the chord, and everything will sound great. If you get lost or stuck, that's okay. You find yourself on the wrong arpeggio, just switch back to the minor pentatonic till you find your way back to the right arpeggio that goes with the correct chord. So let me just do a little bit of this with you so you get the idea. D7, A7, E7, Okay, so you get the idea. I'm sorry, I had a mistake in there. Once you've kind of got this going on, if you will, you can take the arpeggio and you can start making little licks with it. And it really works great for that. For example, this is part of the, right in here, you can, and a little pentatonic to go with it. The D7 arpeggio, I like a little lick like this. That's just straight arpeggio. So try and put those little licks in. And after you've got that all done, you can start mixing the arpeggio with the pentatonic, and that gives you a lot of devices, and it'll mix for a kind of an interesting solo type thing. I played a little bit of that in the last video. Now, the question comes up, and that all works. By the way, these shapes are all movable, which is great. So let's say you were playing a G7, blues in G, right? So now we have G7, C7, and D7. It's the same three shapes. And so on. See, it all works great. Now, the question that you should start thinking about is, what if you were in a band situation, let's say, and they wanted to play the blues in D? Well, what you could do is you could come all the way up here to the 10th fret, the blues progressions going on in D. And you could do those same three shapes we just did. But that can get a little uncomfortable because you're up pretty high. So, in a case of, let's say, a D progression, D7, G7, and A7, there are other shapes. So for something like that, let's say it was I would be using shapes like this. That's the same D7 I just taught. And then it goes to G7. That's the same shape I just taught. And when it goes to the A7, that's the same shape I just taught. But in order to do this with some new shapes, instead of having to jump around so much, I would really do it like this. The D7 would be, and the G7 would be. That's a new shape. And back to the D7. And finally the A7, which is the shape that we started with, on the 5. And so on. If you folks would like me to make a video showing how to do those shapes so that you don't have to be stretched up so high in something like a D or even an E major blues progression, put a comment down and I will make a video like that. I'm going to put the backing track on for just a minute. I'm going to play a drop because nobody really wants to hear me play. I'm going to put a little distortion on. I appreciate your patience. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry for all the mistakes I make. I'm an amateur. I'm not anywhere near any kind of professional. I'm not a guitar teacher. I just think that some of these concepts will come across and may be helpful to some other people. So hang on, let's see. Just a little. And I'm going to be mixing arpeggios, but I'm going to try to use mostly arpeggios with some pentatonic. There's a pentatonic for you. Arpeggio. 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 You get the idea. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.